So now we'll convert this program to use the async.io library and get a feel of how to write this code asynchronously. So let's copy the sync.py file on a new file called coroutines.py with the following code. First, we'll need to import the async.io Python standard library so that we can use the asynchronous features. All the way at the bottom, we'll replace the if name equals main conditional and instead use this new run method from the async.io module. So what does run do? Run essentially grabs a low-level async.io pseudo server called the running loop. This loop is the master coordinator that oversees the suspension and resuming of tasks that are running in our code. In our example, the cook pasta call is a task that will run but will be paused for 2 seconds. So when a request comes in and goes to that line, the loop suspends that task for 2 seconds, making a note of it, and goes on to take another incoming request to start from the beginning. When the call to pasta finishes for the first request, the loop resumes execution on the next line, which would be the Caesar salad line. The run command needs a function to execute, so we pass the waiter function, which is the main function on this code. Run also takes care of the cleanup, so when the whole code is run, it will gracefully disconnect from the loop. These changes are not enough to make our code asynchronous though. We need to tell async.io what functions and what tasks will be run asynchronously. So let's change the waiter function as follows. We declare the waiter as an asynchronous function by prepending it with the async keyword. Once we do that, we are then able to tell async.io what asynchronous tasks will happen inside the function by prepending them with the await keyword. So you could read this code as call the cook function and await its result before moving to the next line. But this is not a blocking waiting process. This tells the loop, if you have other requests to tend to, you can do that while we wait, go ahead, and we'll let you know when this is done. Just remember that if you have any await tasks, you need to define that function as a sync. You might be wondering, what about the cook function? Well, we need to make that asynchronous as well, so we could change it to the following. Here's an issue though. If we use the regular time.sleep function, it will block the whole execution, rendering the asynchronous program useless. In this case, we need to use async.io's sleep function instead. Now we're guaranteeing that while the cook function is asleep for those number of seconds, the program can take other incoming requests. Now if we run the program, we get the following. But wait, there's no difference with the synchronous execution. You were expecting this to run faster, right? Well, that's one of the misconceptions about asynchronous code, that it runs faster. But this program is better already in a way that you can't really tell with this usage. If we were running this program as part of a website, we could be able to serve hundreds or thousands of visitors at the same time on the same server without any timeouts. If we ran the synchronous code instead, we could only serve maybe a dozen of users before the others would start to get timeout errors since the server's CPU would get overwhelmed.